Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Welcome to another episode, mga kumikita explorers. Happy Father's Day, Nel. Happy
Happy Father's
Father's
Day
Day.
too sa mga fathers. Sana
Yes.
natin, gusto ko malaman kung gumanda ba ang job market sa Philippines ngayon.
Yes, yan ang topic natin ngayon. Siyempre, we've been talking about career nung second episode pa lang natin. And actually, yung first episode natin, if you remember. We talked about AI, di ba? Pinag-usapan natin,
Oh.
you know, okay bang career nga mangyayari ngayon sa Philippines, no? Ang daming nangyari sa Philippines. So, number one, syempre yung AI, and then syempre post-pandemic, nag, nag-accelerate yung hiring ng mga tao. No? Tapos we talked about a lot of business news na tungkol sa jobs and career.
I agree, natakal din natin yan. So, pero gusto natin to get another perspective on the topic. Okay? And syempre, we have a special guest, right? Christian, please introduce our
Yes.
guest.
All right. Our guest is also a friend of mine, si Joann. Hizon. She's had over 25 years of leadership experience and syempre sa mga top companies here in the Philippines and some big companies in the global scene. Leadership experience siya syempre from HR, operations, and a host of other functions. So, lahat ng aspeto ng human resources. So, she is a resource speaker when it comes to career counseling, succession planning, workforce planning, and a lot more. So, companies and associations hire her. So I've seen her talk about some of the trends that's happening in talent management. Syempre, yung Philippines is a hot destination for acquiring talent. So while ito yung special, no? While with those companies that she's heading, the companies won 5 employer of the year award. Okay. So while she was in those leadership positions, so 5 consecutive years from UN and Forbes, and she also judged the Stevie Awards from 2014 till present. So the Stevie Awards is like the Oscars awards for businesses. Okay, so let's welcome. Without further ado, Joann. Hi, Joann.
Hello, good morning. Happy Father's Day.
Nice,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. So perfect timing dahil Father's
Oh,
Day ang pag-uusapan natin career.
oo nga, mga providers traditionally.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. All right. Now,
Yeah. Gumanda ba ang job market sa Philippines ngayon? What does the job market outlook for 2023 look like? And how has it evolved from the previous years?
Well, syempre nag-improve siya because yung base point natin is the pandemic. Everything is hopefully better after the pandemic. Is it better compared to pre-pandemic times? Generally no. Generally no. Okay, so if you want, we can start with some statistics muna. Okay, to
sure.
understand where we are. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you pala no slide. See the Philippine flag?
Ito ba
Can you see
yan?
the Philippine flag? Yeah, yan na yan.
Yan?
Can you see it?
Oo, yan ba yan? Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so let's start. So I said earlier, in order to understand where we're going or how it is, we need a little background. So currently, we're at 113 million. That's the latest as of last week. Actually, we're
Okay.
already at 113 million 900 something something. Baka today 114 million na tayo. And 64% of the population is between 15 to 64 years old, with the median age at 26 years old. Okay? Wala na tayo doon, in short. So this is good for us because our young population compared to other aging populations, other countries, will help us recover post-COVID. So here's a more detailed illustration of our population pyramid age structure. So pansinin nyo, ganito yung ano natin. It's a pyramid, no? When you compare us with other countries, sila inverted, which means yung heaviest nila, yung elderly, yung may edad na, ka-age ko. Okay? Which is not which isn't good kasi syempre you need your base should always be A, your middle class, and B, your youth. Alright?
Mm-mm.
Sino ang magko-contribute sa social services nyo? Sino magbabayad ng tax? Obviously, it's your middle class and your youth, no? So when they retire, baka wala na. In fact, di ba, they've always been moving this date na our SSS will go broke by first I heard 2050, tapos naging 2030, 2040, 2030, ganon. Alright? Baka pag retire nyo, wala na kayong maabutan. Alright? So, in some in some countries naman, kung hindi inverted pyramid, hourglass. Not
Mm.
not the exact hourglass, pero parang may two bulges na ganon. But the
Uh-huh.
topmost is bigger than the small, which also isn't good. No?
Mm-mm.
Ours talaga, I remember, I attend kasi si Dito Habitos talks a lot. I like listening to the guys, really cerebral yung pag-explain niya, no politics, no, well, yeah, minsan may politics, okay. And he said talaga we're at a sweet spot yung economy, yung population natin. Kasi first of all, young. Secondly, English speaking, but I'll talk about that later because nowadays that's debatable. All right. Third, college educated, but also the quality of education is also debatable, and I'll discuss that later. So yung economy natin, obviously yung hold on, let me just stop sharing. Okay. All right. We'll just edit this naman, no, Christian?
Yep, yep.
Right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, hold on. There. Okay. So if we're going to talk about the state of our economy, NEDA, according to NEDA, our economy is affected by a number of things, uh, whether good or bad. Supply issues, natural disasters, alam na natin yan, rising inflation, and yes, to a degree, we're also affected by the war in Ukraine. Today, we haven't reached pre-pandemic levels as far as the economy is concerned. But as I said earlier, our young population is certainly going to help us with our recovery. Another thing is domestic consumption also is strong. I came from the largest conglomerate in the country, and uh, we certainly help with the domestic consumption because we've got it all for you. Anyway,
Mm-mm.
so the domestic consumption, it kind of insulates us, just like it did during the Asian crisis years ago. But compared to other countries, I mean, just like other countries, we're also affected by a weakened global economy. I still remember a few months back, parang lahat tayo binabantayan natin yung peso to dollar exchange rate, di ba? Oh my
Mm-mm.
God, talaga, let's start buying dollars. So we know how it affects us, what happens in other worlds. I'm just saying that because there's some people say, hindi ko problema yan, hindi ko problema yung nangyayari sa UK, hindi ko problema yung nangyayari sa US. No, hindi. We're all connected. However, there are things that we've got going for us. Yes. Yes, there are. Number one, yung population natin, our young population talaga. It's a strength to us. It's a strength for us compared to first world countries whose populations are aging. I mean, you look at Japan, you look at Europe, North America. Kaya lang, the problem lang kasi, ang dream ng typical Pinoy kasi is working and living abroad. So that
Mm.
works also against us. We've got a young population, but their dream is to go abroad. Okay, so we're
Mm.
exporting our own talents. Kaya lang, I think because we're predominantly Catholic/Christian country, I think we'll just keep producing more and more babies. Okay. A problem that I mentioned earlier is our English proficiency, and I put it in quotes. Okay. We keep we've kept making yabang na proficient tayo sa English. But I'm gonna say something unpopular. This pivot that we had years ago to using Tagalog or Filipino as our medium of instruction decades ago. I think this was during ERAP's time. That
Duterte,
hurt
I think.
us. No, ERAP,
Era
because
pa.
they wanted to transition us back to English
Alright.
because she took over after ERAP was ousted. Anyway, it
Mhm.
really hurt us. Long time ago, I remember I was being interviewed by a magazine, and I told them there are a lot of people in the applying for jobs. There are a lot of job hunters, but the qualified talent pool is very shallow. I think I was with a BPO company then, and that interview was over a decade ago. So you can imagine, ano na yung quality ngayon ng mga tao, English-wise. So when GMA became president, I was saying earlier nga, when she wanted to bring back English as the medium of instruction, naku, nagreklamo yung mga public school teachers. I remember that nagpipicket sila because they said they weren't
Uh,
qualified to do it. Isn't that really sad?
mhm.
Have you seen those videos? There are, although I don't watch TikTok, pero yung mga reels sa short reels sa Facebook, where you see
Oh.
this group of teenagers, and then minsan may plato ng arena in front of them, and then you have to guess a word, and then if you don't guess a word, the definition of the word, they dunk your head in the flour. And I remember, like, if there were about a group of 10 of them, maybe only one would get the word right. And these were like really, really basic English English words, and
Uh-huh.
that is our base. That's our
Yes.
base, okay, kids today. And then you'll see reports na ang IQ natin, hindi lang one of the lowest in Southeast Asia, nakakahiya naman.
Alright.
Anyway, so the quality of education, which which I segued then to the quality of education, it suffered so greatly. So it just really will eliminate us in no time as contenders, for foreign investors. I saw this effect not 2 decades ago, and things haven't gotten better. We really need to strengthen our educational institutions. Okay.
Mhm.
So going back to the positive, like I said earlier, what we have going for us, another thing that we've got going for us is being an ASEAN member really gives us easy access to a number of trade agreements. But some problems also that we need to deal with is that we're getting to be expensive labor wise. Uh, I worked for a company before. I was a consultant for a company. It was a semiconductor company. Nagsara na rin sila. Nagsara sila sa Pilipinas. One by one, they were losing their clients. They lost them to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and we ended up only having one uh, company, an American company, as their client, and they shut down the production line eventually. Another problem could also be that AI,
Yeah.
hot topic, it could take away some of our jobs. People are saying theoretically, no, it's not going to take away the creativity and all that, the choo and all that. Okay. But then I just saw interviews about this person. She was handling she was freelancer. She handled marketing content, and she lost 40% of her clients like in a week, one by one. They just said, okay, we don't need you, we're just going to go with AI chat GPT.
Grabe
And then
ah.
one said, okay, we're going to go back to you because we're not getting the content that we want from chat GPT. Medyo
Ah,
generic type.
yes, of
But
course.
what she ended up doing was revising what ChatGPT churned out given by the client. So not very it wasn't very cerebral work for creative
I
work for her.
agree. I agree.
Anyway, so I was talking about how AI could take away some of the jobs, specifically in the call center industries, IT industries.
Mhm.
But again, I'll talk about that in detail
Yeah.
later.
Yes,
But the
definitely.
ASEAN region is still attractive to foreign investors. Ito nga ang growth region sinasabi nila. No?
Mm.
So being part of the ASEAN, sana madamay tayo. Pero
Tama.
till now, alam ko pledges pa rin tayo.
Tama.
Okay?
I have a follow-up question. No?
Sure.
Since we talked about the population and some stats here, and I agree with you when it comes to population. Sabi nga, it's an asset for us na yung pyramid nasa bata. No? Even Elon Musk is saying, hey, Europe and America will... Not America, kasi may immigration sila, di ba? People love to
Mm-mm.
go there, so they can attract talent. But in European countries and South Korea,
Yeah.
China, and Japan, that's a problem. But anyway, ito yung problem, no? Could you explain why may mataas yung employment rate natin, ah?
Yes,
Yung unemployment rate has gone down to 4.5%. No?
correct.
And we're gonna touch Gen Zs later and millennials. Pero bakit sobrang taas ng stress levels among the population when you know, the fact na madami namang jobs, di ba? What's causing uh, this spike in stress? Despite high employment rates, job satisfaction, I think, is more than just having a job.
See, the problem with if you listen to the naysayers, okay, about when they presented the latest unemployment or slash unemployment employment rates noong March 2023, okay. So just for the sake of our listeners, the unemployment rate daw is 4.7%. So kung baliktarin nyo yan, employment rate is 95.3. So the doubters are saying, lalo na yung mga naghihirap, you see the video saying walang pagbabago and all of that. And they see these statistics talaga. So the difficult part to understand there is the segmentation. Sino ba sino ba yung mga 95.3% na yan na employed? Okay, totoo ba yan? Alright, kasi sabi lang baka mga troll armies lang yan ang nakadagdag. Sabi nga ni Christian Esguerra, mag-unionize na kayo. Alright, but then if you want to ask why is the unemployment rate so low, or conversely the employment rate so high, I think you have to look at the quality of jobs that are being tagged as, okay, you're employed. All right. So yung unemployment at employment rate, they always report that yung partially employed, part-timers. So may part-timers, may contractuals, may regular. In other words, all types of employees. So medyo nakakaduda rin, all right? You need to look at the segmentation. Um, so let me talk about you were asking no why are they so
Uh,
stressed?
yes, yes.
So
Kasi,
let
di ba,
me
dapat, if they should be happy, di ba? Usually, if they're satisfied with their job, they should be happy. Usually,
That's
yun
true.
yung simple mindset, eh, di ba?
That's true. So if you want me to show you the how do you call this, the because I want to talk about what's going to be phased out, all right?
Mhm.
Because that's what companies now are doing. Uh, in other words, yung mas repetitive, mas clerical, na nangyari naman before, no? Okay. Pero ngayon, there is really a surge. Again, largely brought about because of automation. I saw this Instagram post about this guy. I follow this guy who's a tech guy, and he said that in the last week lang ha, in the last week he said over 1,000 AI tools were introduced. Last week lang yon. Okay, of course, syempre hindi ko naman iniisa-isa yon. But then, it's scary because that person, that girl that I talked about, whose job was marketing content, no, she got eased out of a job. So I think that's what we're looking at, is the quality of the jobs that are being affected. Now, if I can share with you again, the
Sure.
jobs, hold on, or purple bars, whichever way it's coming out sa'yo, that shows the jobs per industry which can be automated. Now, so let me just pick out five industries. banking, insurance, software, communications, media, retail. Abe, that's that's a lot of people are employed in those. And if you look at the footnote at the bottom, it says is expected to change how we spend our time at work. Banking, like dun lang sa US, dati ang haba-haba ng mga pila. Now, halos wala ng tao. And we're s- it's slowly we're slowly adapting to that kind of automation where you see, diba, you just enter your how do you call this, your transaction details, but then they're going to ramp that up more. So you'll see the change. Software, meron ng pwede na daw mag-code yung AI. Communications, media. I just saw a video saying, this is how you can make money. You just come out with the script, go to this website, you can have somebody say it. Some you can pick pa the avatar that who's going to talk about, and some of them look kind of lifelike. Pick the voice that you want. Retail, obviously, like hindi pa siguro mangyayari dito may mga self-checkout counters, no. But then there's like there's something here about like warehousing. If you go to like, if I saw this video about the Amazon warehouse, you'll hardly see any people. It's not that labor intensive anymore. You just see a lot of these bots and a lot of these carts with these screens and QR code, barcode readers. And that's it. They're just getting automated. So let's look at the fastest growing versus the fastest
Yan.
declining jobs,
Yeah.
Ito na, ito
right?
na.
World Economic
Yeah.
Forum, top 10 fastest growing jobs. Just go to do it. AI, machine learning, sustainability. Oh, I used to talk about sustainability also. Analysts in what? Business intelligence, infosec,
Right.
fintech, engineers, data analysts. Yan data analyst na yan. That's catching steam, no? But I remember hiring for them 5 years ago. Hindi ko maintindihan kung anong ginagawa nila. Robotics.
Mm.
Yeah, electrotechnology engineers, agriculture equipment operators kasi nga dapat na daw i-automate ang farming, digital transformation specialists. And what are the top fastest declining jobs? Like I said, bank jobs, postal service, nasunog na ang post office natin. Kahera, clerks,
So,
di ba? All of these. Now, if you dissect this further, let's look at some keywords. Digital. Anything with the word digital is going to be hot because most businesses will need to have an online presence. I remember listening to an entrepreneur ages ago, and he said, if you can't do your business on a phone, forget it. Analysis has always been a strong skill. It predates AI. Financial, coupled with technology, fintech, kasi nga everything's going digital, and through the ages, anything that has to do with finances or money will always be desirable. AI revolution is upon us. And who is at the forefront of this transformation to AI? Engineers. They'll be the ones to develop, create, design these AI systems. So, how do I know if I'm a fresh graduate? I'm reading this, I'll get depressed. Okay. So, what are the top 10 skills of 2023? Again, according to the
ayan.
World Economic Forum.
Okay yan, okay yan.
Mm. Pansinin
Okay.
nyo, okay? Yung footnote, it says self-efficacy. Okay? Yung efficiency mo. Okay? How efficient are you? Alright? Yung blue, yun yung pinakamarami. Alright? So, the silver lining here is, yeah, AI can do a lot of things, okay? But there's still things that they can't do. Garbage in, garbage out nga eh. Okay? They'll only do what they're fed. Resilience, flexibility, motivation, self-awareness. Ito, curiosity and lifelong learning. Kids out there, all right, you really have to want to learn all the time. And when we talk later about particularly the Gen Zs, because they're the ones who are going to inherit all of this, all right. Fortunately, they like new things, right?
Yes.
Dependability and attention to detail. I kind of I'm dubious about that because meron na mga, di ba, attention to detail. Pero still, there are
Mhm.
certain things na hindi rin siguro makakatch ng
Mhm.
AI. Ayan.
That's true. That's true. I like that.
So,
No, yeah, let me just read through it. So it looks like yun, ito nga, it confirms what we've been saying. Yung 1 and 2, if you're not like if you don't have strong 1 and 2 mo, like analytical creative thinking, you won't be able to harness AI kasi effectively.
that's true.
Kasi
Tingnan mo, it's number one, ha? Number one ang analytical and creative thinking, and number two, top two.
yun yung ano ito yung constant theme ng yung episodes natin eh. Kasi AI is such a powerful tool. It's like a laser beam. And if you don't know how to use it, it's just like it's spread out, di ba? And you have to be able to harness that if you have those two things. And even I think yung mga educators, yung mga popular educators are always recommending kasi mag-iiba yung careers in the future for kids eh, no? So,
Yep.
pero ang go-to mo pa rin is 1 and 2. You have to be strong on both skills.
Yep.
I think may follow-up question si Jonelle regarding Gen Zs. Nel?
Wait, let me just add something there, okay? You did point out one and two, analytical and creative thinking. The problem is, and when we talk about the Gen Zs, okay, everything has been spoon-fed through the years,
Mhm.
through the generations, okay? Um, these kids nowadays, all they have to do is look it up, right? So yung
Yes.
problem solving, the creative thinking, the analytical thinking, all right? Kung tanggalin mo yung devices nila, wala, mawawala. Para bang they'll be lost. All right.
Mhm.
If you ask them what is the fastest way for me to get from here to there, Google Maps kaya natin.
Yes, yes.
Everything is here at their fingertips, okay? So that's the problem. How are we going to get these kids to think analytically and creatively?
That's
Yes.
good.
Do I
And,
stop sharing?
no, it's okay. We stopped it. No.
Okay. All right.
Just to comment on that, no, I think kaya nga sa States there's this popular school now. It's called Acton School and they're using a certain methodology para yung the entire session is really problem solving and creating projects eh. Kasi yun
Yeah.
yung weakness of this generation. Nel?
What do you think are some career problems faced by Generation Zs and millennials?
Okay. So when you're thinking na what should I the problems muna or
Yes,
ano? You want to know
Career
what?
problems.
career
Okay.
problems.
All right. Um okay. Na kasi naalala ko kasi yung mga how do you call this, yung mga nag-a-apply sa akin dati. Okay? But then it's different kasi like lalo na those who come from how do you call that, first year uh, schools. Gusto nila boss na sila kaagad, okay? So yung mga unrealistic expectations. Why do I say unrealistic compared to, let's say, baby boomers or Gen Xers? Okay, if you look at the baby boomers and the Gen Xers, the Filipino this is one of my pet peeves kasi is always give data that is irrelevant to us. Okay, we went through a lot, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers, lalo na yung ano natin, what they call the veterans. Okay, so there's this bit of, I know how to sacrifice, I know what it's like to have without, all right, I know what it is like to want, all right. So what happens is the younger generations have less and less of these um, crises in their lives, no? But then again, they also have a new set of crises to deal with. Kaya lang, because they were raised by their baby boomer parents and their Gen Xers, they want to maybe protect them. So you have kids like this who graduate and then they want to be a manager at once. Yung mga ganon. Okay. And that's really frustrating. They want this much. Believe me, I have talked to my fair share of people. Talagang feeling entitled. And there's one I told, if you want to be a boss at once, why don't you work for daddy? Okay. Or ask him to find you a job. But if you really want to learn the business, just like my former bosses, they start from the bottom talaga. Dun sila sa gift wrapping. Alam mo yun, yung ganun talaga. Uh, you have to learn the business para what I say yung hindi ka lolokohin. Okay? But then, okay, let me talk about what are the common career problems that they have. They've been saying before, which I think is still relevant now, is that by the time you finish college, what you've learned in college is obsolete. Okay, so the 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 conflict there is that when you look for a job, they're looking for people who have X number of years experience. But then may nakita na ba kayong job ad dito sa atin? Open to fresh graduates, pero dun sa top bullet, 3 to 5 years experience. Yung, ano yung child labor? They should
Kaya
they
nga.
should, they should get rid of those job ads. Anyway, which is why when we start discussing Filipino Gen Zs, all right, their thirst or their inclination to learning, being always curious, all right, will work for them because nowadays you can find anything on the internet. You can learn anything on the internet. Maybe not your standard college courses or your pwede ka rin mag-online MBA. But then, I don't know, maybe I belong to the old school. Iba pa rin yung nag-share ka, di ba? So, there's a way to solve that. Another thing is that the career paths that the fresh grads want now, uh, pero parang ganun din tayo when we got out of college. You really don't know what you want. Okay? Pero yung mga gusto nilang career path, maybe might be unrealistic. Again, because of their exposure to what they see online. Gusto ko maging artista. Okay? Things like that, all right? Pero pangit naman ang boses mo, hindi ka naman kagandahan, all right? So, maybe they're unrealistic career expectations. I said earlier, another thing is yung unrealistic salary expectations. Sometimes I ask, where did you get that figure? How did you get that figure that I want to be paid this much? Oh, I researched it and all that. Okay. Did you qualify the position that you are comparing yourself against with zero legitimate uh, uh, jo- uh, past job experience, and it's always like, no, I didn't look at that. All right. Siguro ang kailangan talaga ng Gen Zers now and millennials, well, actually everybody, is a good mentor. Another thing that may be going against yung the kids that graduate from college is because they really like, because nga hindi sila masacrifice eh. Okay? They really like their leisure time. Okay? Yung work-life balance, which is really it's a dated phrase na eh, okay? What may be a balance for me may not be a balance for you. But really, yung struggle nila to balance yung personal at yung work nila, okay, can lead to stress. Now, wait a minute. Having said that, all right, what is stressful to this person may not be stressful to this person. This person may be able to handle more stress than this one. Again, it all comes from a number of things. Socioeconomic, all right? So, but then in a general context, okay, mas prone sila sa stress at sa burnout because nga wala silang masyadong malaking pinagdaanan as a generation, all right? Even if you say from the middle to the lower socioeconomic levels, if you look at, I mean, if we were in the Ukraine, okay, and you were going happening now, obviously, mangyayari yon. But then in a generally stable economy, yun yung shared experience nila, hindi kagaya nung yung kagaya namin, okay? Dumaan kami sa martial law, okay? Tapos yan, we were, what do you call this? We were able to get out of that. Kagaya nung mga Gen X na dumaan sila na post-martial law na the economy talaga tank. Things like that, no? Sa kanila wala masyadong ganon. Pero they still have their challenges. So that basically that is what their challenges are. Now, you might want to know, if you want me to segue now into how do I solve that? What can I do? All right.
Yep.
So like I said, if you want to really learn, alam ko uso pa naman ng OJT, di ba?
Oh, internship.
You start interning at the companies, your dream companies, okay, or your dream job, whatever that is. I remember telling my nephews, when you graduate from college, you're competing with others like you who have zero job experience. So how do you get noticed? Sipag at tiyaga. Believe it or not, sipag at tiyaga. And a whole lot of personality. Okay? I remember telling my nephew that, because he was interning, I said, there are companies who hire talaga from the intern pool. Make sure they remember you. In a level playing field, all things being equal, lahat kayo mga interns, okay? How will they remember you? So when they're deciding, they say, hey, you remember that kid, Ricky? He's always smiling. He's always ready to jump in and help. He's got such a pleasant disposition, okay? That will get you, that'll probably get you hired, I really have noticed there are certain people who really hire more for personality than the technical qualifications.
That's true. That's true.
Another set of jobs, okay, that don't seem to be going away, all right, are jobs in sales, jobs in marketing, jobs in customer service. So kung madalian, you want to get hired, look at those three: sales, marketing, customer service. All right. And I'm not just talking in the BPO. Medyo mahirap, lalo na if you're starting from the bottom, but it's a great way for you to know uh, what, where do I want to be? At the very least, it will be a process of elimination. Ayoko na ng ganyan kasi ganito palang kahirap yan. So it refines your choices in your life, in your career. Another thing I said about yung nakita nyo kanina, yung fastest growing jobs. Analyst jobs are one of the fastest growing. But don't let the word, kids, don't let the word analyst scare you if you're a fresh graduate. Okay. Some companies label some jobs as analysts, but really what they're just doing is sorting data. Okay. But don't let that discourage you either if that's too clerical for you or too simple for you. Because as I said earlier, I keep saying this, in order for you to learn, you need to start from the bottom. At least you get to know how things work. And lastly, if none of the jobs out there attract you, become an entrepreneur. Be your own boss and follow Kumita journey to learn how.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Seriously, you just have to go online and see dozens of ways to make your own money, either by doing your own gigs here or there, putting
That's
up your
true. That's
business,
true.
whatever. Of
I like
plug, no?
that. Especially the last part. Ito,
Yeah.
ito kasi I think you mentioned internship, no? And we've been tackling what made Israel such a, the highest number of startup companies, no? In terms of population per capita, no? So sila yung pinakamadami, no? And one of the part of their culture kasi is internship, apprenticeship. Kumbaga, kaya talagang hasang-hasa no, yung mga tao sa Israel. And for those, syempre, it's Father's Day, di ba? So, yung responsibility of having that type of internship starts at home. All right. Thank you for that. Sige, ato, may questions ako, no? Kasi we tackled yung prone na mentality ng certain generation. Again, this is more of yung behavioral, no, not individual. It could vary per individual,
Yes.
and depending on the family, etc. So here's the question: it seems like ito statistically, uh, Gen Zs and millennials are, again, like you mentioned, they have different stress levels. No, every generation has different stress resilience. No, pero it seems like it's consistent with what you're saying na because hindi sila na-experience yung hardship, they tend to be stressed with things na outside their comfort zone, like in war zone. If you look at the Deloitte stats, the Gen Zs and millennials, some millennials are concerned about things that are outside their certain level of influence. No, so are these because again in consistency with what you're saying na yung background nila and syempre yung family nila protecting them from you know being exposed to hard work and real challenges in life.
Okay. Quickly lang about the millennials, no. But I'll talk a little bit more in depth about the Gen Zs. There's another thing that I used to talk about is working in a multi-generational workforce. Meron pa rin tayong mga baby boomers, but they're the ones who are about to retire maybe. Mawawala na yan. I mean, if they retire at the age of 65, mawawala na yan in less than 5 years. So your top management now would be your Gen Xers. Your bottom portion would be your Gen Zs. It's 25% of your workforce. And then the rest are your millennials na. Doon na sila sa middle management. Okay. Now, your millennials are very stressed because that's what I call the sandwich generation. Okay. So these are your guys who are in their, uh, they have young, uh, it's a young, what do you call this? They have young kids. All right. Some of them are entering school already. And at the same time, I'm talking about yung, predominantly Filipino. Okay. Could apply for other countries. But because tayo, extended family tayo, in one house, you can have like, at the very least, not the very least, on the average, like 3 generations. Kaya sandwich generation sila. They're taking care of their kids, they're taking care of their parents. So the stress there. Now, the millennials went through something, okay, they are the most stressed about their finances because they're in their 30s and 40s now. Yun nga, di ba? They're taking care of their sandwich generation nga. They were caught in the worst financial situation maybe of their lifetimes, which is the pandemic. So kaya sila stressed. Unlike, let's say, sabihin mo, yung mga younger generation, which is the Gen Z, kapapasok lang nila, they still have their Gen X parents or their baby boomer parents to take care of them. Unlike your millennials, sila talaga ang pinaka-hardest hit. That's where the stress level is coming from. But yung Gen Zs also have their own stresses. But if you were to compare them to the stress levels, excuse me, the stress levels of, let's say, the millennial, I would say that if there were a stressometer, okay, the millennials would probably be more stressed than their Gen Z uh, siblings.
Interesting,
Okay.
interesting.
Mhm.
Good.
Do you want me to talk about Gen Zs?
Gen Zs
Any?
are ito yung bagong generation, di ba? Yeah, around
Yeah,
22.
these are the ones who are now your they're just joined they've just joined the workforce.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
they're
PSPs.
known as the internet generation. They're digital natives. They're the biggest users of social media,
Mm,
which is where they get their news.
that's right.
Okay,
That's right. Yep.
Globe says that Filipinos are on the internet anywhere between 3.5 to 5 hours. Um, but Gen Zers are heavier users. They're on their phones on average of 5 to 6 hours a day. Sabi nga nila they were born with a smartphone in their hands.
Agree.
Now, this information is useful to companies because they should use social media heavily to recruit people. Hindi
Mm,
na, actually, I keep telling people this, okay? If you want to find out more about the company, go to their Facebook page or their Instagram page. Don't go to their website. They don't update their websites anymore. but they update their Facebook page. Okay.
I like it.
At the very least, you should make sure that you're present in social media if you're a company. If that's because that's where the Gen Zers use to for research. Okay. So other than research, they look to social media also for education, not the formal kind as we know it, but more of tutorials, online
Mm.
courses. But because they have a heavier online presence than older generations, this could affect many things, which could affect them career wise, life wise, like their attention span,
Mm.
much shorter. Okay, vocabulary, spelling, even their spelling horrendous. All right, their academic performance, and their mental health, which incidentally, Gen Zs have the highest mental health diagnosis in the
Grabe ah.
Philippines. Gen Zs, yeah.
Grabe.
You talked about comfort zone kanina,
Mm.
Christian.
Mm.
And I mentioned this also now. They also like to do new things, which is good. Unlike, let's say, the older generations, now they don't like change anymore. They always like to do something new, but not if it takes them too much out of their comfort zone, which is a quandary, right? So this can be both good and bad. So good because they're open to learning something new. 'Di ba sinabi ko dun sa top 10 skills yung lifelong learning, 'di ba? Bad also because they might not have the same staying power as older generations. They want to learn something pero kung medyo mahirap, matagal, yung nga attention span nga. Unlike their Western counterparts, our Gen Zers, okay, look more to their parents for career choices, for decision making, which is nice, di ba? I call that a very Filipino. In
I
fact,
like that.
their number one aspiration is to help their parents and their siblings. All you have to do is
Mm.
just interview them and you say, "Oh, bakit ganito, bakit ganyan? Bakit ito yung inaccept mong trabaho at ito yung inaccept mo? Kasi mas malaki ang sweldo sa ganyan. Kasi kailangan kong tulungan, patapusin yung kapatid ko and all of that." Which is really nice. Which
Mm.
brings me to the number one reason why they accept the job is the salary. Also, unlike
Mm.
their Western counterparts, which go more for what is beneficial to me. Are you gonna let me work from home? Are you gonna give me vacation days? Also, they look at the social purpose of the company, our Western Gen Zs. Kaya lang sa Filipino, it's also important to them. But compared to a high salary, they'll take the high salary anytime. Maybe because we're still considered a third world country with
Uh-huh.
a poverty rate. So, 'di ba yun nga yung base natin, 'di ba? Yung youth at yung middle class.
Yes,
The
yes.
Gen Zs are also the woke generation, ayon ni DeSantis. Okay? No other generation has the same exposure to world issues such as the Gen Zs, issues such as climate change, terrorism, gender fluidity, the war on
Yes.
drugs, human
Mhm.
rights. Okay? So I wanted to share this hold on, share screen.
Pero
I wanted
nag-iiba na ngayon, lumalaban na yung mga conservatives sa woke culture.
dapat
Nade-debunk,
sus
nade-debunk na yung mga woke principles.
yeah, look at this
Yeah.
this it's conflicting. Most Filipino Gen Zers show nationalistic sentiments and support for human rights. But most
Oo.
Filipino Gen Zers are unmindful of digital ethics when deciding what to post, share, comment. So yan yung mga nagpo-post ng mga dick and boob pics, 'di
Oo
ba?
nga eh.
No, I remember talking about this in a when I was doing this multi-generational talk, no? Uh, and I've been doing these multi-generational talks for 10, 15, no, more than pa siguro mga 15, 20 years na, no. The things that and this is not based on study scientific, it's just based on observation. Sabi ko, there will come a time because nga hindi nga tayo dumadaan Hindi na dumadaan yung younger generations yung paghihirap na. Kagaya nung the older generations, okay? And everything is instant, all right? You will see a lot of petty crime. You will see like, in-unfriend mo ko, ano kita, I'll post the naked pictures that I have of you. Or, wiwisikan kita na acetone. Or, I will spread something, fake news about you. They don't see the consequences of what they do. No? Nag-away kami ng boss ko, nag-away kami ng coworker ko, alis ako. Okay? Without another job waiting. You will never see a baby boomer do that. Okay? Because they know how hard it is to make a living. But you will see people now, because I do recruitment up to now, no, even if I'm retired, I listen to people who say, so when are you planning? How much notice do you have to get? I resigned na. When did you resign? Nung January pa. Nung January. Pero tanungin mo, no, are they wealthy? No, they're not wealthy. Pero hindi ko kasi nakasundo si ganito. Meron kasi silang ginawang policy ng ganyan, no, blah, blah, blah. Yung, basta ngayon, gusto kong gagawin ko ngayon. That's the problem with the Gen Zers. Hindi nila nakikita. They don't think it through. Basta gusto ko. Ganon. Alright? That can cause them a lot of stress. But again, like I said, like compare mo sa millennials, it's not as deep. Then again, siguro, if they're the breadwinners of the family, baka sila baka yung stress level nila tumaas.
Pero in terms of sa trabaho, I think mas may advantage si Gen Z dahil sa mga tools like yung AI.
Yes. Yes.
Compared
Digital
sa millennials.
native. Oo. Yung ko nga, yung apo ko sa nephew ko sa States makikita mo ang dami nilang ginaganon. Alright? Yung swipe like that. They figure it out already. They figure it out how to voice activate things. I have no idea how to do that. Because nga, they were born with a smartphone in their hands nga. So it's thrilling and scary at the same time to think what the future will be like 5, 10, 15 years from now.
True. Ito, just a comment lang. Since we're talking about all these things and technology altogether, there's a study, and this is si Jordan Peterson, he said this. And he said, the average IQ increased significantly since internet started. So,
Which country? Which country?
World.
Philippines, what?
Kasama Philippines.
Okay.
No, listen,
Okay.
ganito. So, ako I believe in it, Hindi kasi yung mga bata na nasa, let's say, what do you call, nasa above poverty level, no? And I know some people, they can, because of the internet, although bad yung education nila, although walang nagme-mentor sa kanila, they can still speak good English. They're exposed to data kasi, no? Compared to yung previous generations na walang access sa internet ng bata. So if we compare, let's say, 5-year-old versus the 5-year-old now, mas mataas pa rin ang IQ ng 5-year-old. What are your comments there? No reaction.
Kasi minsan yung mga kausap ko, lalo na sa tindahan, sabi ko, paano kaya na-hire ito? Diba?
Yeah.
Yung mga
Tama.
ganon. So, paano yan? Really, I'm so sorry, but the quality of education, because I don't anymore, but it's not anymore my job. It's now, how do you call this? It's now my gig. Okay. When I do recruitment, and when I talk to people, it's like, I guess it all depends siguro talaga. Your background talaga. Your background really, really helps. I do know that people are more street smart than they used to be. Okay? But there's a difference also. Those who are street smart have gone through some sort of hardship in their lives. So they know how to get around. They know how to get around things. But really, if you have not been able to, if you're not experienced talaga some sort of hardship, hindi ka naghahanap ng paraan, 'di ba? How to get around this problem that I have right now. You don't have the smarts for it. And smarts are different from intellect.
Mm.
Okay? Intellect is cerebral. Smarts talaga is really it's survival skills eh.
Mm.
All right?
That's
Because
true.
I have worked for people who are so intelligent. I had somebody who courted me before who had grabe ang dami niyang PhD. Talagang I called him a professional student, but he couldn't land a job if it could save him talaga because wala siya yung applicability to the real
Mm.
world.
Hindi
I
ma-apply
would
yung
agree with you.
theories.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't know if it translates to IQ, because if you look at our IQ test, it's more ano eh, how do you call that? Knowledge.
Woke
If it
ba?
was more like, yeah,
Woke,
ano?
woke IQ. Woke IQ
Hindi.
level means para
Hindi.
hindi
Yung,
masaktan sila.
oo, correct, correct. Oo. Yung social issue sana. Alam mo, when you talk to people and you talk to them about current events, all right? Doon mo makikita yung analysis nila eh, all right? And this is like across, not across generations lang, but across uh, social levels,
Mm.
status, all right? From those na yung, let's say, nag-pedicab driver to those that say who are the CEOs. When you
Mm.
ask them about current events and how would you solve it, let's say if you were on top, doon mo makikita ang intellect, okay, the analysis, creativity, yung sinasabi nga dun sa top skills, okay. uh, just try engaging and talking to somebody about something really that's obscure maybe to the ordinary Filipino, like the war in Ukraine, okay.
Mm.
Or sabihin na lang natin climate change kasi it's a little bit closer to home, and mas madalas ang baha and all of that. How are you going to fix that? What is wrong and how are we going to fix it? Doon mo malalaman talaga yung intellect ng tao.
That's true. That's true. Ito, since we're talking about the different types of people, and I want to ask you this question. One of the key factors, according to some psychoanalysts, no, one of the key factors in climbing the corporate ladder. I'm not sure kung meron pa nun, pero based on this study, the key personality trait is number one in the corporate ladder is conscientiousness, how detailed you are, no, detail
Correct.
oriented, and how much you honor verbal agreements, no. And so it spans across generations. So this is more individual, no. Number two, it's disagreeableness, not in the sense
Disagreeable.
disagreeableness. People who are high in disagree or high in disagreeableness trait in the five personality traits have higher salaries. So that's one of those two factors. Yeah, if you can, is that applicable in the Philippines?
I read that. Did you notice the ones who are um is it the same article wherein they say that no, it's not an article. I saw it on uh but I saw a video na those who are the richest people, the billionaires, are the ones who tend to be more disagreeable
Mhm.
and when I think of the people that I worked with and the top the bosses and the owners, yes, I can see that. Why? Because the higher you go, the less filter you have, the less you care maybe about the feelings of somebody versus the revenue. So if
Mhm.
it were a choice between, am I gonna hurt him and tell him he's a lousy salesman, or am I gonna say you suck at sales? I'm gonna replace you with this guy who's much better because he seems to be bringing home the bacon compared to you. So I guess
Mhm.
it's that it's the lack of the filters na wherein you lose less, you lose more of your humanity, really, than anything else. Kaya siguro ko hindi magiging billionaire kasi uh, I, I don't know. I really don't. Although when you get older and you tend to have really less patience and your filters
Mm.
talaga tend to like this disappear. But then I agree, based on my experience, the higher you go, you tend to be more disagreeable. Maybe the word is not disagreeable. You tend to have you tend to filter less. You
That's
tend
right.
not to sugarcoat
Mm.
your words. But I'm thinking because I'm thinking about myself. Kaya lang I'm thinking I was like that na before. Anyway,
Kasi here's where I'm coming from, no. Um, I agree with you on that side, pero from the study kasi disagreeableness is like para it's a trait that you have, eh, no? It's either you start with that or you grow and intensify there, no. And I think from that study, sabi niya, it I'd like to get your thoughts here. Siyempre, we're talking about careers in general. Ano yung best way to, let's say you're not disagreeable and you're an agreeable person. Do you switch so you can have more, more income? Kasi if you're agreeable in general, you will be bullied sometimes, especially sa politics, di ba? So yun yung perspective ko on that disagreeable trait. Is it a good thing to have also, or not, or just stick with your personality trait?
you mentioned the word politics. A lot of people
Mm,
say that office politics is bad. I say it's not bad. It's not good either. But really, it's how you are able to live in a world where the office politics. Okay, there are some companies wherein if you are disagreeable and you're just starting out, tanggal ka kaagad. All right,
mhm,
yung nagsasalita sa meeting yung boss, bigla mo na lang sasabihin, I don't agree with that. Wala, tanggal ka. Lalo na in the
mm,
Philippine setting. All right.
mhm,
So I don't think that you should start being disagreeable. I think what you should really do is find out what it's like, not politics, culture. Okay.
mm,
What the culture is like first in your company. Do they uh, do they value speaking out, openness, or do they like want you to toe the line, which where office politics comes in?
mm.
It's not for me. It's not the disagreeability that should be predominant in you. I think it should be flexibility, really,
I like that.
because that will when you're pag marunong ka talagang sumayaw, kung ano man ang tutugtog nila, okay, and you know how to dance to whatever music, you don't box yourself in it. If okay, this is I probably also say something another thing unpopular. I don't like to hire people who have only been in one company for most of their lives, or let's say two companies for most of their lives. I also don't like to hire hoppers. Okay, but I like to get people who have been in different industries, not just jobs, but industries talaga. So if you were, let's say, in halimbawa, trainer, ayun. Trainer ka, nag-train ka, let's say, sa pharma. Tapos lumipat ka sa manufacturing. Tapos lumipat ka sa banking. Tapos lumipat ka sa IT. Ang laki nun, which just goes to show how resilient and how flexible you are. No matter who the audience is, no matter what music they play, kaya mo. That's what I'm looking for, really, flexibility and resilience. Now, if your culture naman is the type, because I used to work for a company, a telco, wherein talagang their meetings are very combative, no? Kung ikaw, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Kung ganun kang tao, you're not gonna survive in that. But if you know na, okay, in order for me to get what I want, I have to put my foot down, I have to shout a little, you'll probably survive. So again, it's not really being the disagreeableness, really. I think it's really the flexibility. But I agree with you that the higher you go, I think you tend to be more not disagreeable. I think you just tend to have less filters. You tend to be
I like.
more um, brutally honest, yon.
Mm. Kasi I guess you're more confident kasi, di ba? Kasi
Yes. Oh, and then
you're
you'll have
becoming
less
more
people who
successful.
will. That's true, and you'll have less people who will make contra.
Yes, yes. I agree.
I like what you said about I like what you said about flexibility. So let's go back to AI. How are AI and automation impacting the workforce, and which industries are being affected the most?
I think I already shared that. Do you want me to go back to it? Let me go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to it.
So yeah, you can. I
Mhm.
think you mentioned finance,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
retail.
Hold on. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Present, share screen, share screen. Shoots. Wait a minute. No, 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 no. There. Okay. There. Again, look at the blue bars. No, and I took just five five of the ones that we can relate to on top.
Okay.
Okay, so that's banking, insurance, software, communications, media. So if you look at the blue bar or the purple bars, it says higher potential for automation. So the industry which has the highest potential for automation is banking. Uh, Understandable. I went to a bank in the US over the holidays, and we wanted to do something different. It wasn't just your usual transaction, withdraw, deposit, and all that. No. Uh, when we went in, I was with my sister. Walang tao. Sabi ko, where every... And then I said, is it a holiday? Pero may mga tao sa teller na isa lang ang teller. Okay. And so we said, my sister, she knew, say, oh, where's so and so? She was like that. Oh, she's working from home today, ganon. And then he said, why? What did you want? We wanted to do this, to do this, to do that. Okay, she said, and then the lady said, if you want that kind of a transaction, you have to make an appointment. In other words, if it requires human touch, you have to make an appointment. Mind you, not to go to the bank, but to talk to somebody can be virtually also. So,
Mm.
totoo yan, yung so many things that you can automate na. You don't need to I don't need to talk to a human anymore. There are tools now that I can self-service. I'm a big believer actually in self-service, So, and now it looks like it's becoming true. Software, like I said kanina, meron na palang AI tools na can code. In fact, there was somebody who said, make me a presentation on something, 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 and write the code for it, blah, 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 blah. And then you could see it on the screen. The it was writing the code, cut and paste, and then you copy it and then you paste it here.
Mm.
So
I like that. Mm. And tama. In fact, mawawala na lalo na with AI and also blockchain. Baka all these technologies are disrupting the finance
yeah.
sector. Even Elon Musk said that we have so much people in those, even legal di ba? Daming tao
Yes.
sa legal. People smart.
Doctors,
Uh,
even doctors now. What
baka,
country
I'm
is
sure.
that? They're using that already. When you go to their clinic, you just have screens.
Mm-mm. Grabe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to be ready.
Yes.
As far as employers are concerned, with all these changes, what have you noticed so far? How are they finding talent? As I know you mentioned, there are certain traits that you're looking at, pero is that really at the forefront of their process right now?
Well, what it's a good thing you talked about that, because the World Economic Forum also said, that considering what is happening now, so we talked about the fastest growing declining jobs, what are the top skills for 2023. O employer naman, ano naman ang gagawin ninyo? You know all of this already. You need to really invest in uh, learning on the job, training on the job, because nga things are going to be changing. Kasi for the survival of your business also, you really need to keep up to date. There are companies, they're saying, baka magsana na kami kasi, they're taking away our jobs and all that. No, they are throughout history, we have learned to adapt to whatever it was. The, there was a, this slide, this guy was making a presentation. No? This was like 10 years ago, and he was talking about jobs that would go away, and jobs that are new, the jobs that didn't exist. That's about 5 years ago. One of them, Uber drivers. I remember that, and everybody said, "Yeah, right. We didn't have that before, and it was a new thing then." Now it's part of life. Siyempre, we don't have Uber, Grab, no, but it's part of life. Itong mga ride sharing, hindi na siya bago sa atin. So now when we're looking at all of these new jobs right now, in 5, 10 years, hindi na siya magiging bago. Because companies naman, I know that they will, for their survival, they will have more training and learning on the job. Um, I have a client who's like that. They're very heavy on training because they need to keep updated. And then other things that companies have already begun to do, but they'll accelerate that, will be automate whatever process can be automated, they will automate it. I remember I started doing that in my previous company because galit ako sa papel, okay? And everything, this company was in love with paper. So I wanted to automate everything, like from the simple thing to reserving a meeting room to performance appraisal, things like that, applying for a leave and all that. So anything that can be automated, companies will do that now. And they will still, so meron pa ring outsourcing na mangyayari. They will still outsource. Maybe yung mga hindi core nila. So outsourcing will still be uh, a job. Maybe we here in the Philippines can benefit from that, since we're not as advanced technologically as our first world uh, brothers. So we might get a big chunk of that out. But companies will start outsourcing and then they'll expand the use also of contract work. I remember in the last talk that I gave, remember Christian, I said na to prevent your people from leaving, you better start thinking about offering part-time work, no?
I
So
like
that's
that.
going to be you're going to see a lot of people doing that also, part-time work. I've also heard candidates who ask, do you offer part-time work?
Oo.
Hindi na hindi
Iba
na
na
kami
economy, no?
part-time work. Oo. Yeah. Gig economy talaga.
So, do you think mas dadami pa, no? Pag dahil sa AI, mas dadami pa yung jobs. Like, for example, yung computer dati wala pang computer, di ba? So, dumami yung jobs na related sa computer. So, with the AI,
I think yes. Hindi, I don't know kung dadami siya. Dadami siya because yes, we have to accommodate our growing population. So as far as volume is concerned, kailangan. Mag-iiba siya certainly. All right now, I hope our schools are are prepared for that because it's which brings me to, that's why training on the job and learning on the job is also important. It kind of puts the burden on the companies, to continue that, the education of their workforce, lalo na the ones, the very junior employees. Yes, when this thing, oh my God, AI is going to change everything. Yeah, it'll change everything, but I think we will also adapt. We've always adapted to so many things. The
Mm.
world has changed so many times over, and we will adapt. We
Mm.
are very resilient as a human beings are very resilient. I just hope that by the time you guys get to my age, they would have done something about climate change.
That's true. Ang thoughts ko dyan is sobrang daming jobs ngayon and life has become more complex. Not just kumbaga si AI, we think it's a threat, but in reality, Although there's going to be disruption, but there's so much work eh. Ako, sobrang dami, hindi ko pa rin kaya gawin lahat eh. No? So AI in a way can help do the job much faster. No? But syempre, there's going to be disruption, right? Like you said, all these, ito yung mga bagong jobs, no? So there will be a transition. So flexibility, as you said, is going to be key factor, and also yung critical skills, no, needed. So here we're entering our last phase, no. Uh, with all these things set up, you mentioned okay, ito yung pros and cons
Mm-hmm.
of AI, etc. Will it make the workplace less toxic? Kasi right now, yun yung description ng mga based on study, dapat nga mas less toxic, di ba? Because of technology. Pero it's the opposite eh. It's more toxic. And that's why it's being reported that they're more stressed.
Unfortunately, I don't think the world, including the office, is going to be less toxic. I think it's going to be more toxic. Why? It's not. I guess it's a confluence of things. Eh? You have people now who we're talking about filters, no? Because of our exposure to so many things that are happening around the world, and because nga 25% nga of let's say the workforce are your Gen Zs, all right, who have, again, like I said earlier, no, they don't think through yung consequences of what their actions will be, unlike the older generations. There will be so much. I think there will be more conflict everywhere. I mean, we're seeing it around the world. We're talking about conflict in different degrees, conflict like war, and conflict lang in governments, conflict in our daily lives. If you see how people get so riled up over the simplest things. Uh, there's this thing that I see on Twitter. There's this page that I follow. It's called CCTV Idiots. Okay. And it gets the CCTV clips from everywhere, from all over the world. Yung maliliit lang na bagay, halimbawa, nag-serve ng soup na hindi naman masyadong mainit, ihahagis, to
Oh.
the server. Things like that. It's like, konting bagay lang, yun you get really, really upset. So, our not only have the attention spans gotten shorter, I think our patience also has gotten shorter. AI is going to shorten it further because nga, instant na eh. If it took you maybe a week, gawin natin 3 business days to finish your report or your presentation. If I tell you this morning, dapat tonight meron na. Yung ganon.
Uh,
And if you can't all you have to do, and then your boss will probably say, i-enter mo yan, i-present mo yan, maglalabas ng draft si ChatGPT or whatever will be the AI tool. Kasi meron ng bago eh, Bard, yung
mm,
Microsoft came out with, and they're saying it's like
Google.
10 times better daw than ChatGPT. Okay? And if you can't, they say, okay, pasok mo yan sa Bard. Oh, bakit hanggang yan wala pa? Ano na? Alas 5 na, wala pa yung ano mo, wala pa yung presentation mo. I think it's going to be even more toxic, really.
Mm,
Expectation
Maybe
matalas.
that's the hardship that the Gen Zs now will experience, this AI revolution, no, that they have to learn how to deal with it. Ang problema lang is lashing out kasi nga that's what they're known to do. They just lash out at a whim.
all right. That's good. At least alam natin, we're ready, no? Ito, final thoughts on, I think from what I've gathered so far, yung pinaka-important factor is flexibility, no? And adapting to change, and at the same time, maintaining some of the core values that we have, no? Ano yung advice mo sa mga viewers natin who are starting their career or about to, move to another career? Ano yung, how do they develop that flexibility and resilience?
Magdasal kayo. Dapat kasi natin. Kailangan natin ng divine intervention ng hirap sa lahat. Okay, no. Seriously, really, yeah. A lot of prayer, a lot of prayer. Really, if you can combine talaga if you can combine the traits from each generation that has gone before you, if you were a Gen Z, if you can combine yung what Margaret Thatcher calls stick to itiveness of the baby boomers, if you can combine the independent thinking, or the spirit of independence from a Gen Xer, okay, if you can combine the Gen Y, wherein which helps them in their creative thinking and their analysis. Kaya nga Gen Y, they're always asking why. The purpose, no? That they need to always have a purpose and everything. They don't take kindly, gawin mo to. Bakit? Bakit ko gagawin?
Mm.
Anong effect pag ginawa ko yan? And yung thirst for learning and the technological, how do you call this? Not the know-how, the predisposition to technology, to new technology of the Gen Z. If you combine all of that, oh, you'll be such a well-rounded person. Plus, magdasal ka. Okay? All of that, yung pagka-hardworking, pagka-loyal, stickiness ni baby boomer, independent thinking, independent work ni Gen X, looking for purpose ni Gen Y, at yung pagka-technological predisposition ni Gen Z.
I like that. With that, we want to thank you, Joann, and thank you, our listeners, for this warm episode about the career and AI. Thanks a lot, Joann.
Good
And
luck
see
to
you in our
everybody. Thank you, Kumita.
our,
Thank
and
you
happy
so much.
Father's Day as well.
Happy Father's Day
All
to you to
right.
enjoy.
Bye bye.
Bye.